2.5 years ago, him and his brother flew out to their mom's in Colorado. It was summertime, so they were going out there for the summer to see her. About a weekend, she called me and said, "Hey, Levin's back is hurting and he's just sore, says it's uncomfortable." We thought, maybe change the diet, maybe pulled something, just join different households. We're like, okay, just watch if it gets worse, we'll deal with it. Well, Addie, my oldest, had a flyback for camp, and they dropped him off. She said Levin's back was still hurting. I told her, go ahead, take him to urgent care. We'll figure it out, go from there. They dropped Addie off at the airport. I picked him up from there. He no more than landed. Levin and his mom went to Target, and they never left Target. Levin went down screaming, throwing up in pain, saying his back was hurting. He was rushed from there to Denver Children's, and that's where I flew in to meet him in the ICU. We found out he'd went into full renal failure. It's lack of functionality for the kidneys to support the body's health. And at the time, his kidneys were pushing, I think, 15%. His body had finally outgrown his kidneys' functionality. The worst part about this is we took him to the doctor almost every 6 months. We did all of his checkups and everything for, baby up. And every time we said, hey, something just don't seem right. He's drinking a lot. He's wet in the bed. He's, can't hold it. On and on and on. And we got told over and over, oh, you're overthinking it. Every kid does this, on and on and on. All the way to right before he left to go to his mom's. They even put him on medicine, they said, that would help his bladder so he wouldn't wet the bed. And all they had to do was a blood test. And they had seen the elevated white blood cell count. We spent right around a month at Denver Children's Hospital doing test after test, trying to figure out what it is. We were a week in to the stay before we found out that it was full renal failure. 4 or 5 months ago, we had the kidney transplant. We got the phone call. I flew out. It was scheduled for the next morning. We had the kidney transplant. Everything seemed to go okay. Levin was in ICU, and when he woke up, he immediately started complaining that his right leg was hurt. And just as a parent, my immediate thought was, all right, clots, because it happens during surgery. Well, we were getting blown off by nurses, and eventually the surgeon come in. I was like, look, immediately. I was like, his leg is solid. Said it's hurting. And that's when the surgeon made the call to pull him back out to do a surgery, saying that there was a clot. 3 hours into that surgery, he got back out, back into ICU. Woke back up and the nurses were treating him. His drain was being drained pretty regularly, and then it hit to a point where they kept on emptying the drain. And his BP was crashing. He was bleeding out. I don't know where the time went. It was insane to, just. You're so focused on your son, his lack of breathing, there's, his blood pressure is dropping, and you can't do nothing. Like, there's absolutely nothing you can do for them. Another 3-4 hours into that surgery, because they had to do everything looking through an x-ray, because they wanted to see every clot and pull everything they could. So within 36 hours, Levin underwent 3 surgeries. But he just had another surgery where they put his feed tube in his stomach. Because due to everything he went through, gastro was saying that his intestines, all of his internals were just inflamed. They were all, nothing wanted to work. Before they called the kidney a failure, which was only a month later, my son had already dropped 27 pounds.